We aim to use statistical analysis to determine the infection rate of mosquito-borne diseases in Uganda, the USA, and India. Mosquito-borne diseases have been known to cause an increasing risk on local human populations. As global temperatures rise, the mosquito-borne diseases pose an ever-increasing threat to local human populations and developing countries across the globe. So it is important for all of us to be proactive in the prevention of mosquito-borne diseases and to better be able to predict when a mosquito-borne outbreak will occur.
The mathematical model that we came up with used infection rate data for chikungunya and malaria. India and Uganda are known to have high rates of chikungunya and malaria, whereas the US has low levels of these diseases. And the US plays an important factor as it acts as a validation for our mathematical model.
The purpose of our research is to create a mathematical model that can estimate the likelihood of mosquito-borne diseases outbreaks that affect local populations using pre-existing data and a chi-square test. We hypothesized that it is possible to predict the likelihood of a mosquito outbreak by analyzing environmental factors such as pH, average temperature, and the color magnitude of our region by developing an equation that can estimate the infection rate over a given period of time.
The three images represent our vectors used in our code for our three independent variables, which we use to output our disease infection rate.
As for the materials, we used Google Sheets, a JavaScript compiler, a code that helped us analyze images of a given environment, data of variables and infection rates, land cover observations, and mathematical software.
We computed a color average using the code by stacking color vectors on top of each other to determine the average color in a region known to harbor mosquitoes.
By stacking these color vectors, we were able to find an average which we used for our USA data analysis and the values on the screen.
An important part of our project was the usage of Cobb-Douglas function, and this represents the relationship between two or more inputs, in this case pH, average temperature, and magnitude of color average, and the number of outputs that can be produced, which is our infection rate.
The following is the code that we use for the Cobb-Douglas function. As you can see, in variable A, we have a list of data that has been compiled for regions all throughout these three countries. The first value indicates the pH level, then we have the average temperature in a region, then we have the other values, including the temperature and the magnitude of the color average. Variable B aims to establish a relationship between all of these data variables, and we use the next parts of the code in order to figure out whether or not there exists a plane which interjects all of these data points. This is a picture of the relationship that we established. The plane that interjects all of these data points has been shown to establish a relationship between all the independent variables and the one dependent variable that we have.
For our chi-squared test, we determined a value of 2.29. Because this was less than our critical value at p equals 0.05, we rejected our alternative hypothesis. This means that we found there to be some sort of relationship between the independent variables and the dependent variable.
The chi-squared tests produced results that were statistically significant. We used a p-value of 0.05, and that was included in a confidence interval of 95%. Because our calculated chi-squared value was less than the p-value at 0.05, we were 95% confident that the results that we obtained for the infection rate in our region was representative of the true relationship with nature.
To conclude, while the results of the mathematical analysis did not output a single equation, we were able to make a mathematical model with a clear correlation with the infection rates in the areas we looked at. The rejection of the alternative hypothesis indicates that we were able to demonstrate a relationship between our chosen independent variables and our output variable.
In the future, something we could do is analyze the relationship between color vector and other climate-related variables, and also use machine learning in order to better our model.
These are our highlights and reflections upon finishing this internship. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.